Okay, we're all set up. Let's do the Q&A today. Maybe we need to do it somewhere else. Let's do it somewhere else. And we're back in a new setting. Our collection of comic books behind me. All this for a little new video. I might do these more often. We'll see how it goes. I asked for questions last week and I got a bunch of them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon. Everywhere I looked there were questions. So let's answer some of them. Right, first question is from Ryan on Patreon. A little while back you talked about dropping libgdx to switch to Unity so you had more options to release on console. Is this still something? With every game I finish I start looking around at what my options are. A game usually takes between, let's say, 4 and 12 months to create. A lot of stuff can happen between then. So I always keep looking at other options. Unity is one, Game Maker is another. The problem with those is that the way you develop games in them is a lot different from what I'm doing now. It means I have to completely change the way I work on my games. So it's a big decision to be made, but for now libgdx is working and does what I need it to do. The only downside is I can't create my games for consoles. Alright, question from Chris Comio on Instagram. Did you do different prototypes, test with different engines, or you always use your own engine? Was pixel art always the plan? That was on the Heroes of Loot video. I did do a few prototypes for that game, although it was always going to be a top-down dungeon-like crawler, because, well, the original idea was Gauntlet, so I really wanted to make that kind of game. Pixel art was always the plan because all my games are in pixel art. I really love doing pixel art. Another question from Instagram, from Game Loop Games. How do you test your games? Do you do it all yourself? Have beta testers? Challenges of testing procedurally generated content? Most of the games I test myself. I had very bad experience with a lot of beta testers. Usually it's very easy to find beta testers, to at least give them your game. And then it's very hard to get good results from them. They usually say, yeah, played it, was fun, thanks. And that's not really what I'm looking for in a beta tester. Most of the bugs I can find myself, and there are always bugs left that are sadly found by gamers, and I always quickly fix them. After every game release I plan some weeks to push updates on the games and fix all the bugs that people run into. So most of the beta testing is done by me. And the second question, challenge of testing procedural generated content. That's very difficult. That's probably the biggest downside of procedural generation, testing it. And Rahit from YouTube. I wanted to ask, are there any plans for Space Grunts 2 or Sir Questionnaire will be your last turn-based game? It will not be my last turn-based game. I really like them. Space Grunts 2 is most likely gonna happen someday. It just depends on the ideas I have for it. Right now I don't really have clear ideas on what could set it apart from the original. I'm pretty sure I could do a better job at the game. I learned a lot from it, but I need more inspiration for an original take on it. So it will probably happen. I'm just not sure when. Alright, Sandor on YouTube. How do you work with contractors? How do you decide on sharing revenue, or do you prefer to agree on a specific amount of money? Is it crucial to meet with them personally? I only work with a musician, Gavin. We only met once, just because he happened to be in Amsterdam, but I don't think it's a requirement. I prefer to do all my business through email. I don't even like taking business calls. Email is much faster. It can be done at the time I want to, much faster usually than how other people prefer to talk and discuss things. So I rarely meet with them. I also work with some artists for the high resolution marketing material. Also never met them. It's just a matter of trusting each other and just trusting your gut feeling about somebody. And the second part of the question, do you follow any development methodology? Jeez. Like Agile or Scrum? No, I don't. I just work. I just write code that works, and if it doesn't, I fix it so that it works. I have been adding more comments to my code because that was a problem when I wanted Gunslugs and Heroes of Loot ported to Vita and the 3DS from Nintendo. There was very little commenting, and I think I drove a few developers crazy. So I try to do that a lot more, because it also helps for me if I have to return back to an old game to fix bugs and having to figure out what things do. Then comments are really good, but other than that I don't use much. That's probably because I'm a solo developer. I don't have to explain myself to other people. If code runs, it's good, and if it doesn't, it needs fixing. That's really all I think about. And growing as a game developer company, no, I have no interest in becoming a big game company. Then I would have done that many years ago. For me, it's just working solo, doing my own thing, not having to be responsible for other people. I think it would scare the shit out of me if I had to make sure everybody gets paid every month and all the rules that come with that. I wouldn't be doing game development. I would be running a company, just solely running a company and nothing else. Do you prefer to use advertisement and or in-app purchases, or is it more straightforward to just sell your games at a given price? For my games and for how I like to work, I still prefer the old ways of premium games. Have a full game, have it completed, have it fully playable, and nothing hidden, nothing needs unlocking for a price. This is the game, this is what you paid for, this is what you play. In-app payments in your game also means you need to push content to your game, keep it updated, keep it interesting for people to keep playing, and that usually requires a bigger team than just one guy. If I'm done with a game after 9 or 10 months, then I really am done with the game and want to create something different. So I'm not into games as a service. So for me it's still premium, and it might change in the future at some point if it's not viable as a business anymore. But for now I prefer it this way, and it works. And Rahit on Twitter, if one of your games does not sell well, how do you cope with it without feeling depressed? Right, well, it's more about do people like my game or do they not like my game? If it doesn't sell well, that's probably because I can't reach enough people to tell about it. So that's really a marketing thing and not something to get depressed about, although it is shitty that nobody picks up the game, nobody writes about the game. But it's more depressing if people don't like it. If you have put months of time and love into a game and then you release it out there and people start giving bad reviews, start talking shit about things. Yeah, that sometimes can be depressing, but I've grown a very thick skin over the years. I know I create games for a very small group of people that is luckily still growing. So yeah, I can be down for a few days after a bad release, but it's also, you just gotta go on. The next game can only be better at that point, so that's also a relief. I think it might even be harder having a game do very well and then have to follow up with your next game that has to do at least as well. That can be more depressing or more nerve-wracking than having a game do very bad. Hein Johansson on Facebook, will there be a Heroes of Loot 3? Probably, but there's no plans for it just yet. Bradley Chick on YouTube, how well do you think you are improving your games design with each project, and how is the best way to achieve this? Love your update video and just the overall insight to your process. Keep it up. Plan to. Step by step, little by little. It's really, usually when you're developing a game, you stumble into new ideas, new little things you don't really have the time for to fully explore. So a little bit of that seeps into that game, but you probably write it down to create something bigger in the next game. Randy10 on Facebook, can you be my mentor? Sorry, but no. Okay, Gabriel on Facebook, what I have to do to work with you? I'm not hiring anybody, if that's what you mean. I'm just a one-man company and that's how I like to stay. So, sorry. And Thomas on Instagram, where did you learn Kung Fu? Yeah, this is probably because of the picture on Instagram I had. Well, it's a very easy answer. I grew up in the 80s and everybody growing up in the 80s learned Kung Fu from the series Kung Fu. And we learned karate from Mr. Miyagi. I learned a lot of ninja skills from American Ninja and the Three Ninja movies. The Three Ninjas movies. So yeah, I'm a real 80s fighting machine. Just so you know. And finally, Paul on Twitter. Number one tip for aspiring indie dev. I don't know. Really, I think a lot of people expect indie game development to be just easy. You create your game, you sell your game, you make your next game. It's a business. So maybe that's the tip I should give. Don't be an indie developer. Be a business owner. Run game development as a business. So be smart with your business decisions. Don't create a big game when you're just starting out. Create many small games. See how the market works. See if you can get anybody to cover your game. See if you can reach an audience with your game, and then you grow your audience and your games in all the years. When I just started out, my games took maybe 2 or 3 weeks to create. I was putting out a new Java game every month. These days my games take about 9 months to create on average. So in all those years I've been growing my games and I've been growing my audience. And the result of that is also growing your revenue. So yeah, and also don't be afraid to take on project work for other companies when you start out. It gives you money, it gives you experience, it gives you contacts, and that's really running a business. So that would be my first tip. If you want to be a professional indie developer, then run it as a business. And that's it. If you have more questions, then you can just give them in the comments below, or you can ask them on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Facebook. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week with something else. Bye!